When do you bring in like a lie detector test? Like, or is that something that you just do not need?
So lie detector tests, they're not admissible in court.
Oh,
as
really?
Evidence in court. In any of the 50 states, they are admissible in federal court, which is a whole separate thing, because they are not reliable. Yeah, so the polygraph test, it tests anxiety. And the general way it's done is I would ask you a question that would be a known lie. And it's something like, have you ever like hurt someone's feelings or something more than that? And but it's a type of thing where if you're taking a polygraph, you'd be motivated to be like, no, I haven't done that. Like, we want to get, this is what it looks like when you lie. And then I ask you.
Oh, they tell them to lie, or like they tell them to.
Do. They tell you to tell the truth, but then they like keep asking you those types of questions until you lie.
Gotcha.
It's fundamentally flawed. And then they ask you like, well, where were you when this person got murdered? Right? Questions related to the crime, and so they can compare. Like, if you are equally as anxious, well, now that looks like a lie. It's really. It's difficult on many levels, because if you're innocent, you're going to be anxious the whole time. If you're guilty, it's not that logically hard to figure out. And so you can figure out how to be like, lie successfully. So because of those reasons, you can't actually admit into court, oh, this person failed a lie detector test. But police do use it to try to get a confession out of you.
Yeah.
So it's legal for them to have you take a polygraph, and then they can say to you, hey, you failed this polygraph. And it's also in the U.S. legal for police to lie to you. So it doesn't matter how you do in the polygraph. They can say that.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who maybe you actually did commit the crime, you're like, whatever. They got me. Now I will tell them. So now the confession gets admitted into court.
Gotcha.
Polygraphs are really, really problematic. Police will tell you that they are effective tools and that they believe in them. General recommendations is they just should not be used.
Really? That's interesting to me. What is the brain doing during a polygraph where the lines are going like this? What is that?
Yeah, so normal polygraph, it's measuring a few different things. It's measuring your heart rate. It's not actually measuring any type of brain activity.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So
Maybe that's a common thing people think. I thought it did. I thought it was like...
it looks all fancy, right?
Is there a thing in your brain, like the lying brain thing that like, oh, there it goes?
There are companies that are starting to do that, because what we can do, like let's say I put a bunch of electrodes on your head. There's a response, like if I showed you something that you have seen before, it's like a recognition response.
Oh, okay.
And so let's say you committed a crime. I could show you a picture of a knife, and if you recognize that knife, and that was the knife used in the crime, well, that's pretty good evidence that you were there. It's called brain fingerprinting. It's interesting, but it's new enough that it's not been allowed as evidence into a criminal court case yet.
Wow.
It's come up on like appeals, and it's been talked about. I mean, maybe 5 to 10 years, we'll start seeing that. So we can get at it that way. That do you recognize like these pictures of the crime scene? But what the polygraph does, that's just measuring your pulse rate, your heart rate, breathing, like how fast are you breathing, and how sweaty are your palms. Which
So
is just anxiety.
There must be a general thing then when you're lying that your pulse goes up or your whatever. It's nothing to do with that, really.
There's no unique physiological response
Wow.
that tells me when you're lying. I can tell when you're upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're making a lot of assumptions with it.
That's crazy. I can't believe then that they turn to that if they can't use it in court.
Right.
Was it like you said, and in the Chris Watts thing, it's actually unbelievable that he failed the polygraph, and then they said, you failed the polygraph, and that's when the tables turned, and then he brought his dad in, and then he told his dad, I killed my family.
I mean, that's totally why they use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tool. And it is legal to be polygraphed for, like, federal security jobs. Like, if you want to go get a job working for, like, the NSA or government agencies, it's legal for them to polygraph you. It's legal for you not to be hired based on that polygraph. And there's a ton of active lawsuits around that right now, basically saying,
really,
this isn't a reliable tool. You shouldn't be using it as a hiring tool.
Interesting.